All right, guys, so on your scratch piece of paper, and like I said, it could be a scratch piece, it can just be a nice plain white piece, a lined piece. This one, it's not as important on. But on your scratch sheet of paper, we are going to practice a value scale. So what I want to do first for my value scale is I'm just going to draw 5 boxes on my piece of paper. 1 kind of in the center and then 2 on each side. And just like the value scale that we saw in that last photo, we are going to create lights and darks of a color. So I'm going to kind of go ahead. I'm just going to title mine so I remember what it is. You can do that with yours. You can leave it off. It is up to you. So now you can use your crayons or your colored pencils, and we are going to create a value scale with this. So choose a color. I would pick something that's not super light. Honestly, it's going to be easier. Blues, greens, if you're picking like really, really pale colors, like a light yellow or a light green, it'll work, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. So I would pick a color with a pretty decent shade or tint to it. So I'm going to do a purple on mine. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make the hue. So in my center box here, I am just going to color what I would call like the true color of purple. I'm not pushing super hard. I'm not going to go too light with it, but I just want a nice regular purple color. So I'm going to fill in my middle box with the pure hue. Colored pencils, it's a little different than if we were doing this with like paint, where we would physically mix some of this together, which if you guys have extra time or you have paints at home and want to try this in paint too, that would be fine as well. So I have kind of the pure color here, and then these 2 boxes, I want it to get lighter here and even lightest here, and then the same thing this way. It's going to get darker and then darkest. So on my next box where it gets lighter, I'm just going to put less pressure if I'm using crayons or colored pencil. If I was using paint, I would add just a little bit of white into that one. So I'm lightening it up. Like I said, I'm just not pushing quite as hard to lighten that. So I have my regular purple. I have a lighter purple here now. And then I have to still be able to get it lightest. So what I'm going to do that is I'm going to go in and I'm going to color really, really lightly, like even lighter than I just did. And then you can actually go in with a white crayon or colored pencil and kind of blend it together a little bit to see how like I said, it's not quite as strong as when you do this with like paint, but it will work a little bit on there and it will blend some. So, and if this one you're like, oh, it's like the same color, you can always go back in and kind of just make this one a tiny bit darker if you need to. And like I said, if you were doing this with paint, this would be like the color straight out of the tube, and then you would add a little bit of white, and then you would add a lot of white or mostly white and just a little bit of purple. So now I'm going to go the opposite way. So my next one, I'm going to push harder on my purple. So I am darkening up the color. I'm adding more pressure to my purple. There, so it's darker here now. And now what I'm going to do, and I would say this does work a little better than the white does, is now I'm actually take my black, which I can't find, but give me a second, I'll grab it. I'm going to take my black and I'm going to color in black and purple together on that section. So I'm actually going to go through and I'm going to first go over it. I'm not pushing super hard because I want to still be able to see the purple, but I'm going to add a little black to this, and then I'm going to go over it with my purple. And this would, if I was doing this with paint, I could do the same thing. So I did with white. On this one, I would do purple and then just a little bit of black in it. And on my last one, I would do purple with more black. Though be careful because black can very easily completely cover up. So you see how it got darker there? And once again, if these are looking a little too similar, I can either go in and add more pressure to darken that color up, or I could have just lightly gone in with a tiny bit of black there. So this is a value scale where I have the hue that's in the middle, And then this direction is adding white, which for us, we're using the white of the paper. And by pressing less, we're letting more of the white of the paper show through. And this would be plus black. So covering up more and more of the white and making it truer to that. And like I said, if you want to, you could always just lightly just do a little bit of black or even a gray in that one, and then the black in there. So that is our value scale. I want you guys to do this, and then we still have one more thing that we're going to do today. So don't sign off after this.